The flight to Istanbul was cold. The silence between Amina and Yusuf, even colder. Both were haunted by the same question. What exactly had they stepped into? Beneath its grandeur lay what most historians ignored: an abandoned subterranean archive, bricked off after the Ottoman collapse and left to rot beneath centuries of stone. Yusuf, navigating the maze-like corridors of the old city with unnerving precision, led Amina through a series of tunnels once used by the palace scribes to transport rare manuscripts unseen. In Istanbul's twilight, the Sulaymani library loomed like a sleeping beast atop the third hill. My teacher said truth should be stored below, so it doesn't burn the world above. I used to come here as a boy, Yusuf whispered. Yusuf pressed a small brass emblem and old token from his black veiled dazin to a hollow. With a metallic groan, the gate shuddered open. By candlelight, they moved methodically. Yusuf searched the shelves for a familiar symbol. Amina, pulled by a whispering instinct, found herself drawn to a heavy chest locked with 7 clasps. By nightfall, they reached a sealed gate, a rusted iron barrier, engraved with strange glyphs, neither Arabic nor Latin. Inside, the air was cold and metallic, thick with mold, and the scent of history long denied. The faithful will deny it, and the silent shall speak. When the woman of no sect carries the words across sands and oceans, the gate will open, and the guardians will fall. The walls of the underground archive were lined with wooden scroll cases, stone tablets, and manuscripts bound in fabrics Amina couldn't identify. As Amina unfurled the first scroll, her fingers trembled. They pried it open. Inside were scrolls wrapped in oilskin, their contents written in an Arabic that predated Islam, early Qurayshi, mixed with South Arabian. It was a ritual manual but not Islamic. The Kaaba had been a site of monotheistic reverence, yes, but also of other practices, more mysterious, some disturbing. She had trusted him once, even shared fragments of her early research. Now, he stood trembling, holding a bloodied satchel. One passage described a reawakening stone, sealed by the prophet before the prophets, presumably Abraham. Another recounted the splitting of a bloodline, a great division between those who would carry the truth and those who would bury it. It described offerings made to the cube, a sacred shrine worshipped centuries before the Prophet Muhammad. Then, they found the prophecy. In the final age, the eye shall return, the stone shall stir. But beneath it, an ancient war had just reopened its front. Amina's breath caught in her throat. The woman of no sect. Was it referring to her suddenly? Yusuf stiffened. He turned slowly. Something was wrong. They had not come alone. A flashlight beam sliced through the darkness. A voice, familiar but panicked, echoed. Dr. El-Tayeb. It was Karim Nasser, a fellow historian from the University of Alexandria. I followed you from Cairo. I had to see if the rumors were true, he stammered. But they found me first. Before he could finish, he collapsed dead. Etched crudely into his back, carved with something sharp and cruel, was a Sabaean invocation. Those who read the stone shall choke on its truth. Yusuf grabbed Amina. They've found us. We have to move. As they fled into the shadows, the ancient scroll still clenched in Amina's fist. The world above Istanbul moved on, oblivious, and for the first time, Amina realized, this wasn't a discovery, it was a resurrection. They ran through the underbelly of Istanbul like hunted animals, their breath echoing in narrow stone corridors. Amina's knuckles were white, gripping the scroll as if it were the only thing tethering her to reality. Yusuf was pale, but focused, guiding her through tunnels once used by the Janissaries to escape siege. But now, they weren't escaping history, they were fleeing those who had mastered hiding it. They emerged into the blue mosque courtyard, nearly empty in the pre-dawn mist. Call to prayer was still hours away. It should have been silent, but they weren't alone. From the shadows beneath the domes, 6 figures emerged, all dressed in flowing black robes, faces obscured beneath sheer veils. They moved with synchronized grace, each step calculated to be spontaneous. Their presence didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a ritual. Yusuf stepped in front of Amina, his voice trembling. They are the Black Veil, the enforcers of historical amnesia, not assassins, curators of silence. One of them stepped forward. The veil shifted just enough for Amina to see piercing gray eyes that seemed almost ancient. Amina El-Tayeb, the figure said in Arabic, tinged with Hijazi inflection. You were warned. I must never see the light again. Amina raised her chin. You kill scholars now. Historians, we silence diseases before they become plagues. Before she could answer, Yusuf stepped forward, eyes locked with the speaker's. Brother Farid, a hush fell. The others looked at Yusuf, and for the first time, recognition passed between them. You left the fold, Farid said coldly. You don't speak anymore. I speak because I saw the lie you protect. I speak because I remember what the eyes showed us. Suddenly, one of the veiled figures unsheathed, a long, curved, blade silent and swift. Amina yanked Yusuf back as it sliced through empty air where his head had been. Chaos erupted. They sprinted through the mosque's arches, pursued not by shouts, but the sound of soft, synchronized footfalls, the most terrifying silence Amina had ever heard. They reached the outer gardens, gasping, hiding behind stone columns. That's when a voice whispered from behind a column. Not even the angels were trusted with this truth, Amina spun. A hooded woman, veiled in silk, but not part of the 6 attackers, emerged. Her eyes glinted with intelligence and rebellion. In her hand was a glass pendant, shaped like a teardrop, filled with shifting black sand. "They will kill you," the woman said calmly. "Not because you're wrong, but because you're closer than anyone's been in 1,000 years. "Who are you?" Amina asked. "A daughter." Before she could explain further, she tossed the pendant to Amina. "Find the daughter of the Imam. She holds the cipher that unlocks the second prophecy. And be careful, Amina. Not all who walk in the light are righteous, and not all darkness is blind." The woman vanished into the mist. Yusuf looked at the pendant in Amina's palm. Inside, the black sand now swirled violently as if it had awakened. "Who was she?" Amina asked. Yusuf's voice was low. She was supposed to be dead. Her name was Samira a former high priestess of the Black Veil. Amina's heart thundered, and the words rang again in her head. Not even the angels were trusted with this truth.